All right. Okay. So I'm Dr. Jade with Clinch Performance and Recovery. I have Darren Thomas here. He's a professional runner. He's going to be putting this new race on here in Reno called the Peavine Hill Climb? Peavine Peak.
Peavine Peak Hill Climb.
Okay.
That's
See,
right.
October 19th. So yeah, we'll talk about that. And I'll give Darren a little bit of an introduction first. I had to write this down so I wouldn't forget anything. Okay. So Darren, he started running as a kid. So you've been running for a long time. And now you're a professional runner with Solomon. Any of you who run probably have heard of that brand. That's pretty awesome. And you've been a professional runner with them for 6 years?
6 years.
Nice.
6 years, yeah.
Very nice. And you've done a bunch of runs. You've raced obviously around here, in the United States, South Africa.
Last year, ran 100K in South Africa.
Okay, no big deal, whatever. Europe and South America too. So that's really freaking awesome. I'm happy if I can just get on the Hunter Creek Trail over there, Yeah, so it sounds like running's a pretty big part of your life, and then you decided to put on this new race on October 19th. So, Darren, tell me, I like to ask a lot of patients, a lot of athletes I know, why did you get into running?
It was a long time ago, probably six. I was like 6 or 7 years old. I was lucky enough to grow up in Colorado Springs, which is a very outdoorsy, athletic place. The Olympic Training Center is there. In elementary school, my PE teacher, she was an Olympian for Australia for the marathon. So she got us all into running from a very young age. And we had like elementary school cross country meets. And I just excelled at it because I was fit and I liked to run around. And so as a kid, if you are beating people, you kind of attach that identity onto yourself and you just want to get better and better. So it's been probably 24, 25 years of that.
That's awesome. That's a long time. I've been doing trail runs since March. Yeah. I'm a little green here. So it's nice that we can have Darren here to actually tell us what's going on and someone who knows what he's doing. So one of the things that, patients will ask me, like nutrition. Okay. And I hear nutrition's very individualized. I've done a couple of Ironmans, but that's different from running. And what works for me, may not necessarily work for you. But what do you like to do as far as nutrition goes?
I've tried a few different diets. Like I tried to go vegan for a little while. I tried going keto for a little while. And really, I just think as athletes, endurance athletes, we need to eat everything. So I eat a ton of carbs, rice, potatoes, pasta. I eat a lot of meat with that and a lot of vegetables. So I really just try to keep it clean. Avoid junk food and fast food. Seafood has energy. Nothing in particular. I think if you get caught up in being very restrictive with your diet, it can cause problems.
So do you use gels or anything while you race?
Yeah.
Okay.
During training too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say I use a lot of those. I eat a lot of sugar now.
Yeah. During training, I think just carbs. Doesn't matter which form.
Yeah, it's funny. I had a patient the other day who she was like, yeah, you exercise a lot. You must be really healthy. And I just started laughing. It's like, if you only saw what I eat during training. Yeah, it's just very glorified, expensive sugar.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, but you're right.
But you process it fast and you need to eat while you train.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously,
especially for long, 3-hour runs, 4-hour runs. You need to eat a lot.
And obviously, you don't have to worry about your weight or anything. So, yep. So, we all if you're a runner and say you've run really hard, you've hit that pain cave, you're just like, man, this sucks. And obviously, you've done 100Ks, you've done 100-milers. The mental side of running, is something that people don't really understand. I love running because of that. Just mentally, it tests you in a different way.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can add to that?
Yeah, I actually started working very recently with a sports psychologist.
Oh, nice.
So that has helped me a lot
Uh-huh.
with just noticing what patterns go on in your brain, what you tell yourself when you get into those really, we'll just say, shitty situations. Um, just feeling like you don't want to continue in ways. I think it's individualized, like diet. Just that everyone has different stories they tell themselves and ways to get through that. And then it's a cycle. So once you get through something really hard, you can use that as evidence that you can get through something else hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember one training run. I'm going to use the term run very loosely because unlike Darren, I don't run all the runs. There's a lot of hiking and walking involved with those distances. But I remember during one day, I mean, I was just so fatigued from the week, and I had like 20 miles to do that day, and it just did not start off well physically. It just didn't. I was just too fatigued. And that whole day, I think it took me like over 5 hours because most of it was just trying to get through that fatigue and that exhaustion, and then knowing that, I'm 4 miles in, I still have 16 miles to go, and just trying to like constantly just get through that. And it was good for me because it was a really good experience to understand like what you're saying about the mental side of things. Like some people are very much just like, just do it, don't be a wimp, just keep going. I'm a little more of the like, it's okay, like we got this, you can stand, you can walk, get your poles out, just one foot in front of the other. It's like, we're good, baby, let's just keep going. So yeah, it is really interesting when
Yeah,
you
and
hit
it
that
has to be a
point.
mix of both, I think. Because sometimes if you're just being a wuss and you have no reason to stop, you gotta be David Goggins. Like, come on,
Who's gonna carry the boats?
But sometimes if something's hurting or you're incredibly fatigued from work or something, it's okay to cut it short or just do what's right for your body.
Yeah.
And because it's all about the big picture of training over months and months. It's not one session is going to make or break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because that's something that I struggle with sometimes too. Just being a naturally really driven person, you're like, you want to do well, right? So you're like, oh man, I got my run today, I want to crush it. And then some days it's just your body is just like, no, dude, like,
slow down.
Yeah. And it's fine because it's not like you started running yesterday. It's taken you years to get to the level you're at, and it's years of like consistency.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're pushing hard all the time, and then God forbid you get hurt or something, which can happen, there's some time you're not training, that you're not able to slowly just build. So I'm really glad you brought that up because it's really hard for people to change their thinking to understand in order to get better. Sometimes you've got to back off a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about the big picture. That's why it's good to have a running coach to oversee.
Yeah.
Like I can only see a couple weeks ahead of time. And I can't, without analyzing everything, can't see the big picture and notice, oh, today doesn't matter that much compared to a months-long training block.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. So we're going to speak about injuries now. Okay, so unfortunately, sometimes injuries do happen. Sometimes it's a fluke thing. I think it was like 2 months ago or something. I was coming down from a trail and just stepped weird and rolled my foot and like popped a tendon in my foot, and I was unable to run, for a couple weeks. But luckily, I was able to, rehab it myself and, get back to running. It's like physically, yeah, obviously it's a setback, but what I've noticed with myself and, my patients or other athletes, I know it's the mental thing you have to go through with having an injury. have you had experiences with that? Would you mind sharing how you've mentally been able to kind of
Yeah,
get through
I've
that?
had it all, and I actually met you because
Uh,
my heel was hurting,
mhm,
like plantar fasciitis, or actually it was a tear in my plantar fascia. It took like 6 months to heal. Um, had an appointment with you, and you helped me
mhm,
see some stability issues and things that I could work on.
mhm.
Um, I've had Achilles tendonitis that's still off and on to this day. It's very
Yeah.
common in
Oh
runners.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've had some knee issues,
Mhm.
some hip issues, broke my toe. Man, what else? Hamstring tendinopathy. I've had a lot of
All the
things.
things.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
And most of them come about from weaknesses,
Uh-huh.
imbalances, which I'm sure you see a lot
Oh
in your
yeah.
practice. And then also lack of consistency, doing
Mhm.
too much before you're ready for it. Uh, and the mental part is really, really tough. Sometimes, if it's a couple weeks and you know just rest and it'll get better, sometimes, like the Achilles issue or the plantar fascia, tendons, like they don't get better with just resting. You have to load them in certain ways. Yeah,
Yes. Thank you.
and so it's really hard to know when it will get better
Yeah.
and if you should stop running or if you should
Mm-hmm.
continue. And I think we wrap our identity up a lot in athletics because
Mm-hmm.
they're a big part of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really hard when that's taken away. Uh, I think the best way to do it is just find other activities you can do,
Mm-hmm.
swimming, cycling.
Mm-hmm.
I was when I tore my plantar fascia, I was on a knee scooter and
Oh gosh.
with a big
Yeah.
boot, and I
Uh-huh.
did the ski erg every
Yeah. There you
day for
go.
2 hours.
So everyone
Yeah,
knows that a triathlete is just an injured runner. Don't come after me. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke.
yeah,
But yeah, yeah, the bike is always there for you,
exactly. And I've
and
taken that into my training even when I'm not injured.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And then I remember seeing you at the Death Ride. If for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a really intense ride down in Markleeville, California. It's 103 miles, I think.
something like that.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
it's like 15,000 feet of elevation. It's nuts. Yeah, so I saw Darren doing that, and I was like, so he does that too, and he's a professional runner. See, you can cross train and still be a really good runner. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it helps my running a lot,
Yeah.
I think.
See, that's
Yeah.
great. Yep. Um, so I want to mention this because it was such a cool experience. So earlier this year, I signed up for the Silver State 50-50-50K. That's a lot of 50s there.
Yeah.
It's a local
It's a
race we have
classic.
here. Oh yeah, it's great. And I remember going up, I think it was that first climb. It kind of like takes forever until I think you get to the top of Peavine
Yeah,
there.
you go up, you're on some trails, you hit
Hmm.
a dirt road, and then
Yeah.
you're on the service road, dirt road for a
Yeah.
long time
Yeah.
up to the
So
top.
I remember I was hiking because I'm trying to conserve energy, and there was another guy next to me. And I remember seeing you barreling down that road because you circle around, right?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
go up to the top, and then you go on the back side of
Hmm.
Peavine, do a loop, come back to the top, and then you go back down where I saw you.
Yeah. And this was the 50K. Do you remember how long that loop was before you come back down?
I think probably about 10
Yeah,
miles,
it was like 10
something like
miles.
that.
So anyway, I'm going up and Darren's coming down. So you had already circled and gone those 10 miles or whatever. And you were coming down
Yeah.
as I was going up. And I remember once again, I was like, I think that's Darren. And the look on the other guy's face was just like following you as
I,
you're running down. We were just in disbelief with how fast you were, during that
yeah, I
race.
had
That was
someone
really
to
cool.
catch. David Sinclair was right in front of me, so I was chasing him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And how did that race turn out for you?
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Good.
won. That was my second race of the season
Uh-huh.
in May. And I always love racing in the spring because the snow's gone and everyone's
Yeah.
excited about the trails.
Yeah.
Almost got the course record. I think I was
Uh-huh.
like 10 seconds away,
Uh-huh.
which That was probably my best race of the year.
Good
if
for
I had
you.
to say.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. Yeah.
It's fun. I live right by there, so I run those trails all the time.
Yeah, I love it up there. And now we've got your race coming up, the Peavine Peak Hill Climb coming up on October 19th. So tell me, what led you to come up with this race?
Yeah, so I've noticed for a while, I moved here like 3.5 years ago, and there's tons of great road races here. Lots of them, like every month. But there's only really Silver State 50 and Hidden Valley Hammer.
I had never
You
even
heard
heard
of
of
that
that one.
one?
No.
It's in Hidden Valley.
Okay.
It's also pretty new.
Okay.
It's a 10K, I think. Those are the only trail races, I think, in Reno. And there's some up in Tahoe and Carson, but I just felt like there should be more. And that route that I created on Peavine, up Chalk Canyon to the summit, it's just a classic route that a lot of people here use to test themselves. It's very steep. It's beautiful. And Peavine is just my main training grounds. And I've been wanting to race direct for a long time. Didn't really know what it involved. It involves a lot of work. But I'm happy I'm bringing it to fruition. Yeah, it took me maybe 7 months to get permits, which is why I just opened registration this last month.
Yeah, yeah. All the behind the scenes things, that the racers don't tend to think about.
I didn't think about them until putting this on.
Yeah. Lots of work for sure. But yeah, some people have already heard about it. They're getting excited for it. If you want to try it out, I recommend signing up for it. I mean, it's a brand new race. Like, let's kick it off, man, with a bang. But yeah, that sounds awesome. October 19th at 8:00.
October 19th, and it's Melton Elementary School up at the top of Robb Drive. 200. It's limited to 200 runners. We have I think about 40 or 50 signed up right now.
Yeah. Okay, so you gotta get on it.
So get on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have about a month coming up.
Yep, and it's coming up fast.
Yep, we're gonna have a food truck there with tacos at the finish. I'm working on getting kombucha, like kombucha on tap.
Nice.
At the finish line. And it's just going to be a party, celebration of the end of the trail running year.
Yeah, well, everyone knows that runners, they like to party and they like to eat.
Yep, absolutely.
Yes. All right, well, thank you for that. Okay, so as a, another racer, athlete, one of the things that I love to share with my patients that race are some of the funny stories that happen during races. Some of them are kind of embarrassing. One of my newsletters, I wrote about Ironman California last year and probably went into a little too much detail about the chafing. But people read it. And my first patient that came in the week after, the first thing he asks me is, "So Jade, like, how's the chafing today?" See, so it's funny. So do you have any funny stories that you'd like to share with us for a little bit of a laugh?
Yeah, sure. What comes to mind is I did Barkley marathons. Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
I didn't actually finish. Not many people finish. But that's in Tennessee.
That is intense.
It's about 120 miles off trail in the bushes in Tennessee. Very steep, tons of climbing, and there's no marked course.
Yeah.
So you have to go and it's like orienteering in a way. You have to find books, like checkpoints through the loop to prove that you've done the loop.
Wow.
So I did it's a 5-lap course, 5-loop course, and it changes direction. So the first 2 laps were clockwise. First lap was good. Second lap was overnight. So I was starting to go crazy, hallucinate a little bit. The third lap, we turned counterclockwise. It was during the day, and my mind just started going wild, like hallucinating like crazy. People walking everywhere.
Oh, you weren't alone at least.
Yeah, tents. And I remember going down this hillside and seeing a playground with kids playing on it. And I was like, oh, I'm going the wrong way. So I went over the mountain the wrong way. And then it came to me, oh, that was a hallucination.
Oh
So
my
I had to go back
God.
up and over. And then at that point I was timed out, so I had
Yeah.
to quit. And right after that, the course goes under this old prison. It's
Uh-huh.
like a tunnel under a prison. I was walking underneath, and there was a guy standing there, and I just completely ignored him because I thought he was a hallucination. And he was like, "Hey, hey, hey," and I was just walking. He grabbed me by the shoulders and shook me. He's like, "Hey, I'm another runner," and
Uh-huh.
he hadn't seen anyone for 4 or 5 hours at
Yeah.
that point. And I kind of snapped out of it, and we walked up to the high point, and we quit together.
Hmm.
That was wild. It was
Yeah.
about 40 hours of no sleep and
Oh my God.
hiking
Yeah.
through the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear, that with those long distance ones, especially something like that where it's not marked. I mean, wow, kudos to you. I've never met someone who has actually done that race. I've only heard about it.
Yeah, there's a documentary about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is literally wild in many ways, apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah, you hear about that with these ultra runners. One day I probably will experience that. Just the hallucinations.
Yeah.
It's just from the fatigue and everything.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
don't generally do well with lack of sleep. So that
Yeah.
was really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely a new experience for you for sure.
Yeah.
But here you are. You made it
Here,
out
I'm
alive.
alive.
Yes, that's good. You're alive and well. Well, anyway, Darren, I wanted to thank you very much for your time today. And then don't forget, so we have the Peavine Peak Hill Climb on October 19th here in Reno. It starts at 8 a.m. Limited to 200 runners, and it's already filling up. So if you've heard about it, then please go ahead and sign up. Let's support Darren as a new race director. And yeah, let's just continue building the trail running community here. That would be awesome.
Yeah, Reno has a great community, but we always need more races and more events.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Dr. Jade will be there offering
yeah, I'll be
injury
doing
screenings.
Yeah, I'll be doing some injury screens. If you're a runner or even if you're not a runner, I work with all sorts of people. If you have a question or pain or some weird injury or something and you just want someone to take a look at it, I will be there. So thank you, Darren.
Yeah,
Appreciate your
thank you.
time.